So, what are you feeding yourself? Are you feeding yourself things of the flesh? Or are you feeding yourself things of the spirit? I know I talked about this in a previous video. I don't remember which one. But what you feed yourself is crucial on this journey of purity. A lot of people is like, well, I can't get over it. I cut this thing off. I cut that thing off. But have you done everything in your power to rid yourself of all of those things? Because just removing some things is not going to take away the desires, urges, and feelings for those other things you don't want to let go. It's actually going to enhance them. And I'm speaking from experience, right? So in my journey, right, I know when I cut out porn, when I cut out masturbation, stalking other women's social media, looking at other women in the wrong ways, all of this stuff, that was good. But I also didn't cut out lust for my partner. I also didn't cut out the desires for earthly things. And if you desire earthly things more than godly things, you'll never be pure, because God is the way to purity. If you value what you can feel over what you need and what's best for you, you'll never be satisfied. You won't. You can attempt to tell yourself a trillion different things. You can be good one day and be good the other day, but you'll never experience consistent purity if you're not making the full necessary changes, not just some, not just a couple, because as I said, it will just enhance those other things you don't want to let go. But the Bible tells us to flee all ways of sexual immorality. It doesn't just say, oh, well, some ways, well, I can still lust after my partner, but I just can't lust after the other one. No, all forms of lust, every single thing. So what do you still have in your life that needs to be let go? What's that thing that's still causing you to go back to that thing? And it doesn't have to necessarily even be just men or women or those sexual things. But are you pure in terms of what you're consuming? Like the TV shows you're watching, the music you're listening to, the advice you're getting from podcasts and people around you, the friend groups you hanging around. It's deeper than just, okay, let me not do this sexual stuff. But purity has to come in all forms of assets in life. And something about it too is, because I know this from my experience, just making like a mistake, not beating yourself up over that mistake, and as I always say, allowing that mistake to turn into shame. Just because in my past experiences, when I would fall, I would just be like, dang, I feel like I got to start over. And it would just lead back to the pattern of me repeating that same sin, knowingly repeating this sin, but just like struggling with it, fighting with it. But when I failed last time, I used that experience to further build me up. I looked at it as a minor setback for what it was. I wasn't like, dang, I completely failed, I got to start over, I have no hope, I'm stuck in this thing. No, I didn't look at it. I looked at it as, this is, a stronghold, a struggle in my life, lust and different things, strongholds in my life. But I've put in all of the work and progress to get there, so I might as well keep going. Setbacks are going to happen in this journey. A setback, you failing at a certain point, doesn't mean it's over unless you allow it to be. And if you carry that mindset, you'll just remain in that same pattern. So what you feed yourself is very important. Are you feeding yourself those things of the flesh, as I said, or those things of the spirit? If you're feeding yourself spiritual things, all of those things tied to God. As I said, God is the answer to becoming more pure, to If you're on a retention journey, if you just trying to be a better person overall, self-improve, God is the answer to that. You can go to all these gurus, self-improvement videos that don't mention God and do all of this stuff. And those things may help in a certain way, but it's not the answer. Christ is the answer. Because I've been through all of that. I tried to do it, and it helped at certain points, but I always found myself back in the same habit. I always felt myself desiring those fleshly things more than the spiritual things. It's because I didn't tap into the spiritual thing. I didn't tap further into God. I didn't draw closer to God. I didn't make him the priority, the most important priority. Like Jesus said, the 2 commandments: love your neighbor and love God with everything, essentially. So are you loving God with everything, essentially? And if you love God with everything, then that'll translate into over into other places of your life, because you wouldn't want to listen to certain secular or vulgar things that people are putting out, whether that's podcasts or music, when you know that's promoting the wrong things, and when you know that's pushing you, not just pushing you further away, but it's pushing other people further away. Like, for example, with porn, right? If you think about it in a deeper sense, these are confused individuals with trauma who are manipulating the minds of other people to gain things for themselves. That's a selfish intent. And it's not only is it a selfish intent, but it's actually leading more people towards those fleshly desires and farther away from God than bringing them towards God. So it's deep. It's deep. It's so deep. What you feed yourself and what you consume is so deep, because you feeding those wrong things, especially from other people, is kind of validating their behavior. You're adding on to the reason they're doing it. You're like you're basically giving them more attention, more views, and if they get that attention and those views, they aren't in the spirit. So views, likes, fame, notoriety, that stuff is stuff they desire, the worldly people desire. But we know in the spirit, it's about selflessness. It's about doing things, desiring those godly things, those spiritual things, because those things won't just benefit us, but they'll benefit more people to come closer to Christ, and it'll benefit more people to be more pure people. There are so many unpure hearts in this world, because our society has pushed an agenda that certain behavior is okay when this certain behavior is detrimental to us. Like, these chasing after, craving those fleshly desires will lead you to eternity. It'll lead you to destruction. You're not accepting the gift of salvation. You're not actually loving Christ, because if you truly love Christ, as it says in 1 John, I believe, you would keep his commandments. It's a difference between you genuinely trying and struggling and wanting to get over and putting things into practice to do that and falling, versus you knowing it's wrong and you practicing it. And when you know it's wrong and you still practice it, that's where you're done and you'll never be pure. So you should why do you want to desire things that internally destroy you? And it's going to get to a point where you may even lose sight of yourself, and that's the worst feeling. So we want to shift our desires and things to what's right, the things we need, the things that'll build us up spiritually, rather than how we feel and the things that we want. It's not bad to want things, but many of the things we want aren't the things we need. And many of those things we want that we have had, we realize, oh shoot, like, I shouldn't have wanted this in the first place, because look how much, not only does that stuff bring you further away from God, but it destroys you internally. It leaves a void in you. And Christ is the only thing, I'm proclaiming it, I'm saying it, Christ is the only thing that can fill that void. You can try everything else. It may work temporarily, but Christ is going to fully cover that void. Christ is going to be what fully takes away those wrongly desires. And you're still in the flesh. You may still have moments. I still have moments of urges, temptations, those intrusive thoughts that try to come, all of that stuff. But I realize who my God is. I realize who's on my side. I realize the spirit inside of me. If I tap into that, when I am in those moments where I feel weak, I realize who's stronger. And you won't understand that if you feed the flesh, if you feed yourself what you want rather than what God wants for you, the purpose God has for you. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video real quick, and just have you ask that question to yourself. What are you feeding, and why are you feeding it? Why can't you overcome that thing? Why can't you overcome these sexual desires, this lust, and all of these? Why have you been struggling with it? Why do you keep falling back into looking at stalking other women, or looking at porn, or keep falling back into premarital sex or adultery for some people? Many different things. Looking at other women lustfully, or women looking at men lustfully, or heck, men looking at men lustfully, or women looking at women lustfully, because that's the society we live in today. So just ask yourself that. Just ask yourself why you keep falling back into that, and are you actually making the necessary changes need be in all areas, not some areas, but in all areas, to overcome that thing. Because if you just do it in some and leave the others, like I said, those things will just intensify, and then you may have got rid of those other things, but you're still going to be stuck in that other, with all of that stuff that's still sinful. You may justify to yourself that, oh, I'm not doing this, so this is okay, when no. If you get in the Bible and see what God says about it, understand God's character, his nature, his commandments, and these different things, what he wants for us, you'll realize most of the stuff is wrong. The world is going to tell you it's right, but God is going to tell you the truth. Everything the world says, the worldly stuff is not the truth. God is the truth. The world can say it's okay to sleep with as many people as whatever, or you want to watch porn just to figure out and enhance your sexual experience, or you want to look at other people because it's just in our anatomy. It's just who we are. We're human beings who crave other people. The world can tell you all of this stuff, and they can spin it too in a way that make it sound right. But the world and God ain't the same thing. God pulls us away from the world when we come closer to him. When we draw near him, he reveals to us why that stuff is wrong. When we draw near him, he reveals to us everything that needs to be let go, not just some things. You may draw to him and he reveals these things to you, and you may choose what you want, but that's just still a pattern of damage. That's not fully healing yourself. But you want full deliverance, you want full healing, and the best way to do that is looking at all areas, from sexual stuff to what you consume, to what you listen to who you're around. You gotta look at all of that. So yeah, God bless you.